starting in the US. TikTok is getting its day in court, Brian.
Indeed, it is, Stuart. Lawyers for TikTok set to argue their case in front of a panel of federal judges in Washington Monday as they try to fight the U.S. government's attempts to force its Chinese parent company to sell the app. In April, President Biden signed a law that would require TikTok's owner ByteDance to fully divest its interest or face a nationwide ban by mid-January. And nearly half of all Americans are on TikTok. For years, U.S. authorities have warned that the app presents a national security threat due to the huge amounts of data that it collects on those U.S. users, data that they say the company could be forced to pass on to the Chinese government. Officials also worry that the app could be used to spread Chinese government propaganda. Even if TikTok were to agree to a sale, finding a buyer would be difficult. The app's value is estimated at around $100 billion. Now, the case is expected to eventually make its way to the U.S. Supreme Court. TikTok says the law forcing its sale is unconstitutional as it infringes on Americans' right to free speech. The company has spent around $2 billion trying to satisfy U.S. security demands by moving its data centers to American soil. Here is CEO Shou Chew on that.
The Chinese government has actually never asked us for U.S. user data, and we will not provide, even if asked. Today, by default, all U.S. data is stored in the Oracle Cloud servers already, in the Oracle Cloud infrastructure, and no longer in our own servers in Virginia and in Singapore.
You've already done that transfer?
It's already done by default, correct.
Yeah, that's TikTok there. What about the markets then, Brian? How are they shaping up so far today?
So, Stuart, a lot of major Asian exchanges are actually closed on Monday for public holidays. Hong Kong opened, though. The Hang Seng Index, they're recovering from earlier losses after a raft of disappointing economic data out of China on Friday. Factory activity, retail sales, and investment figures for the month of August all coming in lower than expectations. Meanwhile, urban unemployment is on the rise. Real estate prices continue to fall in China. Here in Europe, meanwhile, a cautious open for major indexes with London, Paris, and Frankfurt all down around 0.25% to 0.5%. Investors worldwide are awaiting the next interest rate decision from the U.S. Federal Reserve after the latest U.S. data there showed inflation slowing to 2.5%. Meanwhile, the labor market trends continue to stoke fears that the country could be headed into a recession. Analysts expect the Fed to issue its first rate cut since 2020 at either 0.25% or 0.5%. Take a listen here.
It's reflective of what we've seen since the third quarter started, which is a lot of consternation from investors about where the economy is going, where inflation is going to land, and what the Fed can do in terms of rate cutting. You know, investors really don't know which way the Fed's going to go and which way the economy is going to go.
And finally, for business, the war in Ukraine having some unexpected effects on the labour market there, particularly this is for women, Brian.
It is truck drivers, coal miners, security guards, warehouse workers. These are all jobs that are traditionally considered to be male jobs in Ukraine. But with tens of thousands of men having been sent to the front lines to defend against Russia's invasion, a huge labor shortage is threatening male-dominated industries, sparking fears of knock-on effects for the already battered economy and its post-war recovery. But the country's women are stepping up to fill the gaps. Eliza Herbert has the story.
It's a dream job for Lilia Sulya. She is a truck driver working for Ukrainian retailer the Fozzy Group, and she's filling a crucial shortage in Ukraine's workforce. She also recruits women for the job, which is traditionally dominated by men, and is now one of 6 females in the company.
Yes, people are curious and shocked when they see me. They all film me on their phones when I deliver or load my lorry. They take pictures of me, whether it's passers-by or others. They're all in shock. Soon, there'll be more women in logistics, and people won't be that shocked anymore.
Since the Russian invasion began, Ukraine has lost more than 1/4 of its workforce. Tens of thousands of men have taken to the front lines, and millions of people have fled the country. In a survey conducted by Ukraine's Ministry of Economy, nearly 60% of 3,000 companies said finding skilled workers was their biggest challenge. The issue has prompted many in human resources to think innovatively about how to make workspaces more attractive to women.
We automate certain processes or adapt them. We have training courses and create a safe environment.
Still, there aren't enough women drivers to cover our needs. Apart from that, women have a lot of other offers in the labour market where they can reach their potential.
Wages are also a factor. The average monthly wage in Ukraine has climbed to the equivalent of $470, up from roughly $350 a year ago, driven largely by companies' needs to lure more workers.